It is Friday, April 15th. Let's talk PlayStation. Welcome everybody to Let's Talk PlayStation episode 200. If you didn't know, I number each one of these episodes, and this is currently the 200th Let's Talk PlayStation I've ever done. I've done it every single Friday for almost 4 years now. It's a little absurd that I've actually come this far, but either way, it's pretty awesome that I've gotten this far. And just for the hell of it, let's actually look at what we did for episode 100. And just for the hell of it, let's take a look at episode 1. Roll it. The game. So now we know a little bit more about it. And stop it. Whoa, okay. Looks like I got a little bit better at this YouTube thing, huh? Alright, I think I'm getting a little better at this YouTube thing. I think. Or at least I hope so. That's at least how I see it. But either way, all the charade aside, let's actually still talk about some PlayStation stuff, because there are some things to actually talk about. So first up, NPD numbers are out. Well, not necessarily the numbers, but the announcement of PS4 being the lead in hardware and the lead in software once again. We don't talk about NPD too much because it's usually been the same thing for the past how many months now, which is that PlayStation 4 is leading in both hardware and software. So there's really nothing necessarily new there. PS4 is still doing well, and Sony's probably still pretty happy about that. But the one recent news story that we talked about actually hit some good news here. So Evolution Studios, we remember Sony actually shuttered that developer. They owned Evolution Studios. They were closing that developer. Turns out Codemasters, another publisher, has actually bought Evolution Studios. So the Drive Club developer, the MotorStorm developer, will live on, which is fantastic news, of course. There's obviously some caveats here, which is that now that Evolution will be under a new publisher, they can actually develop multi-platform games. So either way, that's obviously good news. It doesn't matter about the whole console fanboy exclusivity thing. Throw all that bullshit out of the way. It's good that the developer still lives on. It's a talented team, so we know they can produce good, actual good games. The other thing is you shouldn't expect a MotorStorm game from them anymore, or a Drive Club game. I mean, certainly the developer has racing roots, but Sony is the IP holder for games like MotorStorm and Drive Club, so you're not going to be seeing games from them anymore in those franchises, but that means that Evolution can try something different, so I'm sure they will probably want to do another racing game, or maybe something entirely different. Either way, I'm glad that they didn't get completely shuttered, and that's always good news under any circumstance, so it's great that Codemasters picked them up, and we all know Codemasters also has a deep root in the racing genre, so it's really a no-brainer that they found a resolution. And also Evolution, commented about their relationship with Sony. They said it's still great. Everything's still fine there, and they're, PS4 is still a big part of Evolution Studios. I mean, Evolution has been developing on PlayStation for a very, very, very long time. So, you got to figure the studio has all that experience with the platform, all those dev kits, and all that, all the talent and resources with PlayStation. So certainly, it's not like they have any hard feelings or anything. This is all business. So, but yeah, they can start doing multi-platform development too, and I genuinely look forward to what they're going to be doing now, because now I know for sure it's not going to be a MotorStorm or a Drive Club. Now let's talk some Naughty Dog as we get closer and closer to Uncharted 4's release date. More interviews, more stories coming out about Uncharted 4. So the one thing is, Naughty Dog's Arnie Meyer was talking a little bit about the opening sequence of Uncharted 4, and he said that it's probably one of the best that Naughty Dog's ever actually done. He was quoted as saying, "In my personal opinion, this is our strongest beginning opening sequence for games since The Last of Us, which was obviously very emotional. But I think this is probably one of the best opening sequences as well. That feeling of wanting to keep playing and wanting to know where it goes continues to the entire game." So, I mean, there's nothing certainly impactful about this comment, because of course he's going to say something very good about it, but it's just one of those news stories where it gets you genuinely excited for the game, and that's the thing, I'm getting really, really, really excited for this game, and that's the thing, a lot of times I always tell people, you need to temper your expectations a little bit. Don't let, hype drive you up super crazy, because the more it keeps building up, the more your expectations are. And then when you get the final product, it just obviously can't live up to this godlike idea that you have in your head. So then you get a little disappointed because you're like, oh, the game's not that great or something. But for me personally, it's one of these situations where God, I'm just absolutely letting it get to me. I cannot wait to play this game. And it's also a little bizarre to think man, had this game stuck to its like original release date, we would have already like finished it by now, know the ending, and have completely played it. Maybe I'd already have my platinum trophy or something. But at this point, I'm so ready. I don't know how much more we could possibly talk about Naughty Dog, but it seems like every single week they're just doing more and more interviews and stuff, talking about Uncharted 4, Nathan Drake's last hurrah, and it's just like a big send off. Like this game's getting so much traction. I cannot wait to finally play this thing. All right, now let's talk a little bit about some PlayStation VR. So there was a recent survey done that basically says PlayStation VR has the most brand awareness with Americans, with consumers. So some interesting statistics came out of this from the recent report. It says 6 million Americans say they intend to purchase a PlayStation VR this year versus 5 million for Oculus Rift and 2 million for the HTC Vive. 28% of Americans have heard of PlayStation VR versus 22% for Oculus Rift, 21% for Samsung Gear VR, and just 5% for the HTC Vive. 52% are uninterested in purchasing a device or do not know what VR actually is. Only 16% are sure they will purchase a device at some point. 26% say devices are too expensive, and 49% have not heard of any headset brands whatsoever. Certainly, this is good news for Sony. We all know Sony's in a pretty good position with PlayStation VR right now. They have a competitively low price for high-end virtual reality. It's on a console, so that's an easy entry point for a lot of people, especially since a lot of people have PlayStation 4s. I believe if you check VG charts right now, which is never entirely accurate, but if you check VG charts, they say that PS4 is sitting at like around 39 million systems right now. They can't be that far off. Maybe give or take a million. I mean, obviously, even if they're not at 39 million right now, they'll probably get to it very quickly because they just keep selling so damn many PlayStation 4s. But Sony's in a really good spot right now, and it seems like PlayStation VR is, I don't want to say poised to succeed, but certainly it's in like a very good position to succeed in, say, relation to the other virtual reality headsets, which are honestly much more expensive, and even more so, there's just a higher barrier to get into those headsets because you need a capable gaming PC to actually use them. So they're just in a really good position right now, whether it is like in terms of Sony, like they're doing great with PlayStation 4. PlayStation VR is looking optimistic. Again, you really don't know what's going to happen there. You got to figure they're not going to, it's not going to sell incredibly well, and it's going to be hard to gauge the numbers to actually tell if it's a success right away or not. But that's like one of the things, right? You know, you're going to see this thing come out, you're going to see some numbers come out, and people are going to say, you know, it's just not that good. But this is the first real time where virtual reality has had a real big industry push, and that's what I've always been saying about virtual reality, which is that this is the first big meaningful push for VR and games. So when the first few numbers come out, when the first few games come out, the first few experiences start to hit people, you know, it's going to be hard to really judge how it's doing and how well it could be and where it could go. It's just one of those things where it just has to mature a little bit, and you know, we won't know that until that time actually comes. All right, this news story is really interesting. I really wanted to touch on this one. The BioWare co-founder, Greg Zeshuk, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he commented on this theoretical idea of a new PlayStation 4 and a new Xbox One, the PS4K we've been calling it recently. Commented a little bit about the possibility of this and saying that it would more or less actually be a gigantic pain in the ass for developers. He also said he doesn't see it being very consumer friendly. It feels like a lot of consumers would not like this. So this is certainly one of those things where it's echoing a lot of sentiments that a lot of people have been having recently. You know, whenever you see these articles about PS4K or something, a lot of people are genuinely like, oh, this is a dumb idea, or I wouldn't like this, or this, that, and the other. And he's kind of saying how it would be, from a developer's perspective, kind of annoying. And the thing is, see, this is what's interesting about it. He says it's annoying because of the benefit of what consoles currently are, which is that they're closed boxes. They're closed. You know, the resources are closed off. You know, you can develop a game, and you know what you're doing. You know how much horsepower you have to work with, and it's just a very set in stone sort of thing. And he actually references it to PC gaming, where he says it's not like PC gaming where you have to deal with the the visual sliders or whatever, you know what I'm saying, like the PC settings in games where you can, you know, change certain settings in a PC game depending on how powerful your rig is to possibly update, you know, to boost up resolution and frame rate, or anti-aliasing, or increase foliage, details, all that extra shit that PC gaming typically has. He's basically saying, oh, the benefit of consoles is that you don't have to do that for the console. You can put out the game, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to play on every single system. And so, you know, you have somebody that is in the games industry telling you, oh, that's the great thing about consoles. But you see, modern times nowadays, where PC gaming is on such a big rise, and so many people are preferring PC as a platform, and people are saying, oh, consoles suck ass because you can't do those things. And here you have Sony and Microsoft looking at the market and looking how it's changing and going, okay, well, maybe we could possibly update, do a mid-cycle refresh for these consoles, make them a little bit more powerful, but still allow developers to release games for all versions of our console. And it's just a matter of, oh, the game's going to look better on the newest PlayStation, the newest Xbox, and the game can look not as good on the old ones, but you can still play it on the old ones. So it's one of those situations where, like, it's this big triangle and nobody's getting pleased, basically, because Sony's trying to please consumers. Consumers want that extra stuff, but developers are like, no, that's actually the great thing about consoles, but consumers hate that thing about consoles now recently. It's just like a big pain in the ass, you know, and you can't make anybody happy. Of course, this is all theoretical, right? We still don't know about an actual mid-cycle refresh for PlayStation 4 and X1. Of course, all the signs are at least pointing on the Sony side where this is, like, absolutely, like, probably going to happen, and it's probably going to happen soon. On the Microsoft side, haven't really seen much compelling information, but you know, Phil Spencer has been pretty forward in saying, oh yeah, well, consoles kind of could possibly go in that direction. So you do have these this possible idea where, like, this may be an actual thing that'll happen, and now you've got, like, the first sort of real developer comment where it's like, this would actually be a real pain in the ass. And they're saying it's a pain in the ass because it would have to be, it's more in line with, like, PC development, where they have to, you know, include all the changes of PC gaming, where it's like you can allow the game to be allocated with the hardware or whatever, and let people kind of slide around with the visual effects of the game and change it up a little bit. The benefits of PC gaming are the shitty part of developing a PC game. Like I said, it's just like a big triangle. Everything's a mess, but it would be really interesting to see where this goes. Like once we actually, like, maybe get a formal announcement of PS4K, or like a new, stronger, more powerful Xbox. I mean, I really want to hear more from developer reactions. I really want to see what this will actually, like, turn into. I will still say I'm absolutely of the mind where, like, I feel that's where, like, console gaming should go and kind of change into, or it's like, you know, just release more frequent boxes. You don't have to upgrade to a system right away. Again, game compatibility it's forward compatibility at that point. That has always made sense to me, and it's like, now that we actually see that it's possibly going to happen, I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally thought that would make the most sense. But, you know, it's the thing, like, you kind of overlook at it. It's like, it's like, well, how are developers going to feel about this? How are they going to work with it and whatnot? So, yeah, it's just another same thing we always talk about with every single news story, because it's always speculation. It's just like, you gotta wait and see. And for our last news story, and a not so good news story, so basically some Dutch retailers are kind of saying that they are doubtful that they're going to be restocking PlayStation Vitas. So apparently recently, this is very recent news, by the way, I have to record this a little bit early because I have to leave in the morning for something, so I have to record this, like, actually Thursday night. So who knows what happens after I upload this, but this is, like, hot off the presses, which is that a lot of retailers in the Netherlands are saying that they're not sure if they're going to be restocking PlayStation Vitas. And apparently within that area, of course I don't live there, but within that area, apparently it's very hard to find a PlayStation Vita. There's, like, one online retailer that only has, like, a few systems in stock or something. Like, basically it's looking like shipments of PlayStation Vita have possibly stopped there, or they're possibly going to stop there sometime soon. And that news is not very good, because that is probably telling us something very grim. That maybe PlayStation Vita is going to be stopping production, manufacturing. I mean, that's kind of like jumping the gun a little bit. A number of things this could be is that, yeah, shipments have stopped at just the Netherlands, but absolutely Vita shipments are still continuing in markets where it makes sense for Sony. Again, Sony is a business. People always like to give Sony a lot of shit for, you know, their support on certain platforms, but like as a business, if it's just not working out, if it's just not, if certain markets aren't working or whatever, sometimes you just have to cut off all ties. You just have to cut off extra fat. Like you have to do what you have to do. Like that's the grim reality of business. So Vita might be in a situation where that might be the case, but again, it could be a number of things. So maybe shipments will just stop to the Netherlands. This one I'm very doubtful of, but it's absolutely possible that maybe a new PlayStation Vita is coming. So they're stopping shipments because a new model is going to be coming in. That's what happened with the old model. That's what happens with all products, which is that the old product stops getting shipped out and they start shipping in the new product. So maybe that's something that could happen. Of course, I'll say that's probably very, very doubtful. I do not think Sony would be releasing a new PlayStation Vita anytime soon. But it's certainly like the kind of news where it's like it's probably not good news. So as of right now, I wouldn't have any ideas of what this could be. Again, it sounds like it might just be Netherlands is getting stopped. Maybe Vita shipments are just done there. It seems a bit premature to actually like full on stop manufacturing and literally like start to kill off Vita. The system actually does marginally well in Japan. It doesn't sell very well, in America and Europe, but it still sells like enough for it to probably still make sense for Sony. But again, like another thing is like retailer space. Like that's one thing people always seem to like overlook and not actually think about, which is like retail space. Some retailers, just have limited shelf space, and that's always an issue for, big companies that are trying to send their products out. This could be a number of things. And that's another like disappointing thing, because I was like, oh, here's a news story I can talk about for LTPS 200, but I was like, man, we have not talked about PlayStation Vita in a long time, because there's never really any news about PlayStation Vita, or certainly any like big news. LTPS is only usually 10-12 minutes long, if that, and I only save like really big heavy news stories that heavily relates to Sony and PlayStation platforms. And Vita nowadays has become a little bit of a niche platform. It doesn't sell that much, but the people that use and play Vita are very dedicated people. They have a high attach rate for the system, so people that own Vitas and constantly play them are buying lots of software. That's why developers that make games on Vita, some people are like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you make a game on Vita? Well, the Vita has a high attach rate, so when you put your game on Vita, chances are people will probably end up buying it. So it's a healthy platform, and developers actually can make money on the system. So to me, it seems a bit premature to actually like signal this as a bit of like a death to Vita, but that is also a scenario where like it could be the case. Again, this is like a very new news story, so I feel like this is one of those things where I'm going to upload this and then right away Sony's going to comment that no, the Netherlands is fine, we're still going to keep doing shipments there, or something like that. I'm always trying to cover my ass with news related stuff, because that always happens, whether it's like Orion on Gaming or LTPS, which we've been doing for 200 weeks now, and just how I have to record it. They go up Friday morning, so if something happens within Friday morning and I edit these things, usually Friday morning, which is technically like, Thursday night, which is like, 1, 2 in the morning. So yeah, it's technically still Friday when I'm doing them. But either way, we'll see what goes on here. I'll keep you guys posted, but certainly not the best news story for Vita after not having talked about Vita for a very long time. And those are just some of the news stories I want to talk about with you guys this week. I actually spent a long time looking for some decent news stories to talk about. It was kind of a slow news week, so a little uneventful for Let's Talk PlayStation episode 200. But yeah, I mean, we've been here for 200 weeks now. I can't believe I've done this for 200 weeks. Cool. I'm glad I'm still doing it. It's become like a daily or a weekly ritual for me. I would never even consider to miss a Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm glad people are still watching it. I'm glad people still enjoy it. I'm genuinely shocked that people still watch it and they get like their news from here. I've always thought that it was a place to get more of an opinion piece on like the PlayStation news, because obviously you can go look up this shit whenever you want. Basically, you don't need me to tell you. But maybe I was always trying to offer like an informed opinion on gaming news, and specifically Sony's platforms. But either way, I'm just absolutely humbled that people still watch it. So thank you so much. So if you didn't notice this past week, there was no Ryan on Gaming topic. Wednesday came and went, and I didn't have any video uploaded, and I was actually pretty pissed about that. I just ran out of Ryan on Gaming episodes, and I recorded some new ones. I tried to edit them right away. I just didn't have enough time. I'm really sorry about that. Next week, for sure, Ryan on Gaming will be back. Also, let me get this little number out. did get me this bad boy. Finally, a platformer. Oh my god, I can't wait to start playing this game. I will try and do a review. Or I guess I'll say I absolutely will do a review. I just don't know when it will be ready. I know reviews are another thing on this channel where it's like I haven't done reviews in a while. I always tell you guys this: review videos are the hardest videos to make. You know, I'm not like GameSpot or IGN where I have a team of video producers and editors and stuff that can help me with that. I'm one guy, so when I do a review, I have to do my own script, my own voiceover, my own capture of gameplay and everything, and edit it all in one go. And you know, reviews are like very cut heavy, so reviews just take a long time. So bear with me, but I will do a Ratchet and Clank review, and I'm really excited to finally play a platformer. Oh my god, especially Ratchet and Clank. So expect that. I don't know when it'll be ready. And then, yeah, keep checking out the God of War Let's Play, too. We're face camming it up, finally. Getting into our groove. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting to finally have a face cam. It's like, wow, Ryan's finally joined the 2016, you know what I'm saying? Finally catching up with the times here. That's what these kids do nowadays. They Twitch and they face cam, they do it up. So I'm doing it up, too. Anyway, that's really it. So again, thank you so much for being here for 200 Let's Talk PlayStations. I know there's some of you people that have been around for such a long time, and you always like sometimes say, "Oh, Ryan, remember me? I've been watching since so and so," or "I've been here since subscriber," whatever. If you comment regularly, like I definitely absolutely remember you. Even if you've been gone for a long time and you comment again recently, I always remember who you are. You guys mean the absolute world to me. You're awesome, absolutely awesome. So. That concludes this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Benecki. Thank you all so much for talking with me for 200 weeks, and I'll see you all next Friday.